the cliffhanger we left off on, which was so long ago, was a slaad taking one of your party members off into the night, just as you had rescued her little sister. The slaad grabs her. You make out that it's a slaad. It grabs her and leaps back down towards the vicinity of the town. What do you want to do?
Go home.
We can still see it? It's
No.
that grouping, so it's...
So like she came running up, saw you, made eye contact with you guys, was like relieved, saw her little sister, started to like crouch down and open up her arms to this great grandiose scene of a hug as the little kid comes running out, and all of a sudden this just big thing behind her just kind of like forms out of the shadows and then it's gone. Just like that.
Just...
Did we think Zach came up here? Is that part of the reason why we came up here?
Well, we came up here because,
Haley got...
yes,
Yeah.
kidnapped, and they said that that's the direction, because those things were flying. So we were chasing them.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just not your day
Dude, when
today.
it rains, it pours.
We can use our imaginations.
Sketch said something about a wizard flying in on a carpet. And then he flew up to this area before flying off.
So do we think that he's still here? In the castle?
You definitely didn't see him in the vicinity. And you've made enough noise fighting these things that you would assume that they're there. Problem with like flying around on a magic carpet is you don't like leave footprints.
No, magic carpet.
Right. No carpet
No
fibers.
carpet fibers.
Yeah, roll a check to see if you see carpet fibers.
I vote... We're not in combat right now, right? We only
You
saw
are
one
not,
slide.
yeah.
I vote we take Haley back to safety, and then if we need to go after her sister, then we start a search party and go looking.
That sounds like a lot of work.
I said if. I said if.
I mean, I'm fine with taking this, whichever... Which one is this again?
I believe Haley's the older sister, Bailey's the younger sister.
Bailey.
Okay, so it's
So
Bailey.
we take Bailey back, but...
Right.
And we can tell other people, hey, but I
Yeah.
feel like we've invested so much time in this already. And the return is very little, so...
Okay.
That's just me, though. I'm carrying around these screaming coins, what do I know?
And they're probably weighing on you a bit.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I say we leave. Is Mustard Dirty
Sure.
guy? Yeah, they're coming after us.
I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds on myself at a level 2.
You just want to go back and get a long rest?
I do, but I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna be able to. I thought there was some stuff flying overhead too.
Can you hear me? The whole container? The whole container? The whole thing? No.
I gotta find out
Wait,
which
you
one
were
is
not
best
getting
for
that
me.
memo, he was he?
I'm trying to pick out my pen here.
Oh my goodness.
I will say I have missed you all.
Now I got a crappy pen. I'm way far away from the pens. I got a last choice.
Need a different one? Is that one okay?
Yeah, this one's good.
Okay.
You guys can keep that on your side now.
Oh, you know what I actually have for you? Take that one.
What? What?
I'm sorry, guys. There's only one in here. Give me the whole container, not getting the message.
It's fine. I found a pink one. I'm using pink. This thing, I'm gonna hit it so many times.
Go back here.
It won't reach.
Are you sure?
Yes. Do you want a good one?
How is it?
Thank you.
Oh, well, wait.
Straight from Bezos.
What?
Oh man.
Wait, what's the difference between those and these?
I don't know.
Well, these are fine.
Well,
They're so fine.
they should both be real fine too.
They don't work that good.
Doesn't matter whether if the ink's dried in.
This one works splendidly if anybody needs one.
Here you go, Dion.
And you get an expo pen.
And you get an expo pen.
Okay,
that
then.
one's
We've had sufficient. You can put it back now. Oh, Eric gave up on the light.
Okay. Well, it'll probably work better for you guys.
I'm getting too old for this.
Is that because they won't see us as much?
I'll be glowing.
Darker.
Right? All right. Jeez.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know what it looks like.
Damn.
Oh, I forgot to flip it back around.
I gotcha. Your camera's so fancy. Face tracking? I hope YouTube just appreciates this commentary, this candid.
I just think you should have it like this.
I'm gonna need to with my old eyeballs.
You begin, you decide to make it down to leave the abbey.
Bye, Abby.
The broken cleric, literally just emaciated, crawling through the mud. You've saved the kid. You go through the double door parapet, like kind of cathedral entrance over there. And you see large three-toed footprints deeply dug into the mud as the rain continues to fall, and it starts to fall heavy. And the pathway down, the winding pathway down this elevated hill, which is way up there, looks like it's going to be just rough and goopy as the mud starts to get thick, and you make your way down. All the while, Bailey is asking what happened. She thought she saw her sister, pretty sure she was going to make her look for it, and then like there was nothing. What do you tell her?
Who's got a high persuasion?
Me.
Not me.
Can we convince her that she didn't see her?
Can I convince her? No, you were seeing things. That must have been somebody else.
I believe that would be a deception or a performance check.
Okay.
You got this.
Thanks. I like your positive
What,
attitude.
do you need your own inspiration or your bardic?
Oh no! I thought we were fuzzy on the rules with that because you can
Oh, you
give it
can't
to
use it
other
on
people,
yourself.
but you can't give it to yourself.
Some classes can give it to themselves. I don't know
Well,
if your class can give it to yourself.
I don't know, and I'm just gonna go with it.
Okay.
So 12 plus. You said either performance or
Or
deception.
deception, yeah.
So a 19.
19.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
you're like, this is pretty common with trauma. You've just been through a lot. I know you're looking forward to seeing her. Your mind's just playing tricks on
Just
you.
your PTSD.
You know,
Right.
as she like walks by another giant footprint in the mud, and you're like, oh, we made those coming up to get you. And, she's handling it fairly well. As she like clutches what's left of her doll that she's been dragging along, and at this point it's just like stuffing and a couple of legs.
Can I mend it or no?
Do you have the other pieces?
Does she?
Two other pieces. The piece is missing?
She doesn't. But I think that they were left at the other place because it had been ripped on the cart ride too. But yes, if you find the other part of it, you can mend it for her.
Okay.
Probably make her day.
I have a liquor tongue. Will it help?
I mean,
Tie it all
if you
together when it's done.
mend a stuffed teddy bear to a liquor tongue. I mean,
Now that's
some nightmare fuel. It takes you quite a bit longer to make it down this.
Oh.
Everybody give me some acrobatics checks.
17.
21.
7.
Mr. Dwarf, you are having a particularly hard time with this like clay goopy mud that is getting worse and worse, and on many occasions you find yourself just flopping into it, butt on the ground, trying to get your bearings. You get up, you're almost shin deep in mud with one step, and then you're a little sure-footed with the next, and the next thing you know, you're back tumbling and just covered in this stuff. And it takes you about a better part of another hour to get down the hill. And as you get into the city proper, the moon is now being obfuscated by just these heavy rain clouds. And so everything looks darker. All the trees are casting a much longer shadow. The figures that you saw moving throughout the town are much harder to make out, if any. You don't really see the motion anymore, but everything just has a much more ominous, dark feel. As you know that somewhere in this town, there are still monsters that are lurking about.
How long would you say it took us to get down?
Took you an hour to get down.
Just an hour? It's 10 a.m. If
AM
anybody
or
wanted
PM?
to know. AM.
Yeah. Oh. So then in this case, what's left of the sun is being obscured by these heavy rain clouds. But the town is brighter than it would be at midnight if it had come.
Did we see any of those 3-toed prints on the way down? Like, are they near the town? Do we think that they're in the town?
Yes. In fact, as you get down the mountain, they start to make their way towards the center of the town.
So, like, how big are we talking? Like giant frog sized?
Yeah, like a size 20, 25.
3 toes?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you did this last time, but we can make a nature check to see what you guys know about slaads.
6.
19.
Whoa.
12.
Okay, as a kobold, being well versed in other lizard and reptilians, especially harboring, some animosity, you don't want to be confused for that. You're probably like, not all reptilians look alike. You would know that where you are draconic, these are more of a monstrosity. And you've heard horror stories of people being kidnapped in the night and taken back to the lair and basically like strung up. The slaads will like vomit up bile that hardens, and they'll just basically, as they're making their wound, like their layers, will basically like vomit this goo that hardens in place and wait for or where they basically imprison their victims and plant their slaad poles inside usually their esophagus or their stomachs to burst out later. It's horrible.
Lovely.
A lot of times, however, they won't get this chance, or they won't get them back to the lair, and so the slaad pole will be in somebody's digestive tract, and they won't know it or they won't remember it, and the thing can burst on them days, even weeks later. So it's a very, very violent process for how they create more young. In fact, you saw a slaad bust out of somebody's chest when you came up, if you remember.
Do we know how long? Does she know how long the process takes? Like, do we think that Haley is already full of slaad poles?
I'm just gonna call her Haley now.
Bailey? Is this one Bailey?
Bailey's.
Kaylee and Haley? Wait.
All of those.
Bailey was the one we took back, right?
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
And then Kaylee's the older sister.
Kaylee and Bailey, yeah.
Okay, one of the sisters. Do we think that it's been enough time that she's full of slaad poles yet?
You don't know, and you don't know the gestation period because it changes just on different types of slaads. So there are blue slaads and black slaads and gray slaads and red slaads, and all of them have different attributes and different levels of sentientness. You're not entirely sure what one you saw, but judging by the size, it definitely wasn't a red slaad. Those are the smallest. This one was larger. But yeah, you don't know. You don't know if that's happened yet, or even if it is. With the 19, you know that it's reversible. You could create a restoration it and cure somebody of it. And then it'd basically be like an antibiotic, and it'd kill it before it gestates.
Would I know how to break through one of those, what are they, encampments that they make?
Yeah, you think like physical damage, like you could hammer it or like mace it or anything with, any brute force. It gets like after the goo hardens, it's tough, but it's brittle. Like you could chip away at it. But you also know that a slaad in its lair usually, like, they'll take over a house or a wine cellar or something like that, kind of burrow into the ground. They're very dangerous because they'll blend in with their their burrow, right? So they'll vomit up this goo and it'll create a texture that's very similar to their texture, and so they can like hide in the walls and not be, seen.
That's terrifying.
Well, guys, it sounds like Haley Bailey is gone.
This little kid
Into the
like
night.
holding the doll, and you're like over her head. You're like, look. You're trying to earmuff. Look, we've lost. We started with 20. We're down to 6. All right. Maybe we're down to 5. We're getting to the point here where. There definitely. So when you were going up to the abbey, there were creatures like flying around you, kind of swarming like buzzards, just out of range. And there were things jumping from rooftops. As you're coming back down, you don't see any movement in town.
Was it raining when we went out there?
It's starting to, but now it's like really, really heavy.
So do they get any sunlight?
Yes. There's not really a seasons here because this is as Sketch was telling you, it's its own pocket dimension. So it's not a planet that revolves around a sun. It's like an idea. And so, depending on the person it was made for and their mood, like the weather can change. But this one is typically always gloomy. So it's like either overcast, or it's overcast and rainy, or it's overcast and foggy, or it's cold, or maybe it's snowy. It's never like pleasant, because that's not how the realm was designed. But also because the realm's being packed up, that person is gone. So like the weather is way more random now, because it's not like being influenced by the creators or by the prisoner's mood or whoever it was designed for. And so now it's just kind of freaking out. I'd say probably take you another 30 minutes or so to get back to the tavern, through this mud and goop. And, keeping a watchful eye, you don't really have any problems if you get back to the tavern if you want to drop off the kid.
Definitely don't want to drag her around with us anymore.
Yeah.
Have to.
And Peanut is more than happy to, and relieved that you brought her back, and is more than happy to kind of try and keep her entertained. Definitely keep her from running out, grabbing different things from the cart and getting carted away by monsters.
Are there pieces of her doll or another doll here that we can fix?
Yeah, so you go into the cart, and sure enough, the other half of this teddy bearish doll is in there. And if you mend it for her, like, it definitely brightens her up. But she's absolutely asking like where her sister is as she gets back.
I don't think she had a sister.
Roll that persuasion check. Look, you're crazy. This isn't real. You've never had a sister. Change your last name to Gaslamp.
Be a fun idea for a bard.
Gaslight.
No, that's not what you want to do.
So Leary's last name should have been Leary
Yeah,
Gaslight.
yeah. That would be perfect.
All right. Do we want to? So we only have like 4 other companions here. 5.
So you have the 2 characters you've made, and the 2 other characters that you've made, and then the injured NPC and another character, all kind of huddled in the corner as Peanut is like selling them food and rations and other stuff and like managing his hoard. Sketch, sees you guys coming back and absolutely can hear the coins jingling in your coin purse, like they're singing to him. And he's just like, well now, I see that you've had quite an adventure. We've got lots of things for sale. If, you or maybe your adventuring party has come across anything, I don't know, luxurious, foreign, demonic.
We'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
Well, I'm here to serve.
Oh, I'm sure. Aren't we all?
He says, what happened? Wasn't there a young lady ran after you?
No,
Oh.
you are mistaken.
He's like, his wings kind of flutter a little bit. He's like, oh, my goodness. Well, if for unrelated reasons, if you happen to go about the town, there are a few scragglers that owe me some debt, and if you would happen to find them and return it, that would be splendid. I would appreciate it. Trust me, a favor owed here goes a long way. But other than, you're welcome to stay as long as you need. Kretch, though, is a pretty dangerous place. I wouldn't tally too long if you don't have to.
Well, I mean, you're here.
Well, I have the luxury of being able to come back if something bad happens to me. But I worry for little Peanut.
That name is so unfortunate.
You mean Willem?
No, I'm pretty sure that he's not allergic to Willems.
I don't know. Have you ever asked?
So what do we want to do? Do we want to try to rest? I mean, I could go for a rest, but so if we want to hold up everybody, we can go. What are our options? Go look for the other sister,
No.
Or be his hitman.
be his hitman, or
Or
go walking down the yellow brick road and try to find. Although on our way here, it was pretty dicey with the werewolves, so I don't know. I mean, he's saying it's dangerous here, but it sure seems more dangerous on the road.
Yes, and you came in at night, and he told you specifically that if you're going to leave, you want to leave during the day, because the wolves are less active, and there's not the moon to kind of spur them up.
Where's the next town over? Or where, if we were to hit the road, where would you recommend we go?
He doesn't know, so he hasn't been he's been allocated here, and basically, so think of it like a going out of business sale, right? Like he's in charge of this department. And so it's like he's trying to move as much of this furniture as he can, but he doesn't know what's going on in electronics. And it's not really his place. And he knows what this place is and kind of explains it to you. And so he's not like, oh, I want to go adventure and I want to explore, I want to see places. He's like, this place is on borrowed time. It's literally being packed up. And so, I'm just here to try and make a little extra cash before heading back. He works for HR, so, everybody, it's just, everybody's got a boss. And
it's 10 a.m. Do we know what time the sun sets? Does he know what time?
Actually, give me a survival check.
10. With my plus 5.
Everybody can make a survival check. Watch that.
What do you mean botched it?
Shit, net 20.
Well, okay, good thing. I
Ooh,
don't have to do
alright.
anything for my freaking
So,
10.
so you're having this conversation with Sketch, and you're like, do you know where the next town is? And he's like, I don't even think that, this doesn't know. And you have a peace of mind to realize that, the presence of mind to realize that Peanut lives here. And you go up and you're like, hey, do you know what's going on, where the next town is? And he offers to sell you a map.
What? A map?
A map. for the low price of 5 gold.
Oh, that is.
It's a good looking map.
It is a beautiful, well-crafted map made by the DM of the Year semifinalist.
In case you've never seen this place before.
Oh,
I haven't.
and we're on the top left. Okay.
How much does he want the map for the map?
5 gold.
But I don't have 5 gold. I'm just gonna sit here like we used to go to Borders and just read the books in the corner until they tell you to leave.
Start copying. You're like, oh, I don't want to buy this. Yeah, I got nothing either. I'm tapped.
This is about to be. I'm bad.
Oh, you buy it. Okay.
All I have is coppers
I am not persuasive, so yes.
and
I will
silver.
buy
I mean, I could have tried to talk him down,
it. That's true.
but you know.
He's been through enough.
Like, he takes your 5 coins and just like callously throws it into this pile of gold coins that he has in the back corner. Like, it's just stacks on stacks of gold, copper. Like, he's literally going through. He's looted the entire town. You know, basically when it's daytime, he'll go through and just find anything of value, any other adventures that come through. He's just horking them for, you know, he's like, oh, ration that'll be 10 gold. He's savvy enough to you know, try and get a come up despite, you know, the struggles he's had. And you can see too that like Sketch is almost like proud, you know, when he sees that, like, that deal going on. Like, whatever their relationship is Sketch is somewhat at least nurturing, or at least, you know, supportive of his entrepreneurial spirit.
Like a father.
So now that you have a town map, you do see other towns listed on there. And you see that there is a road through the forest out of Kretsk that would take you to another town on the map named, internet trolls are going to beat me up here, Valakai or
Balaki. The internet likes to call it Balaki.
I mean, that sounds Serbian, so I'm sure it's right. But there's also a few other notable locations on there. It looks like there's some windmill, there's a giant castle, there's another town on the very far side.
So are we gonna pretend Kaylee never exists?
Who?
Exactly.
We're way the fuck out there, too.
I mean, we can try.
So we assume if we were to get on this main road and walk like
East.
west, no, not east.
Oh.
East is towards the lake. If we walked
Okay.
west, then we would run into that issue with the things being
Yeah.
packed up.
Yep. In fact, you could see them packing it up when you were on the top of the cathedral.
What happens if you're somewhere when it gets packed up?
I don't know. What do the
Ask
kids
the
say?
Langoliers.
Look around and find out.
Does this shady gentleman know?
Yes. He has a vague idea of what he would think would happen. So he would like try and transition the conversation into what your thoughts are on the afterlife. And so like you would ask him these questions and he'd reply with like, well, let's stop. What do you think happens when you die? And what do you think happens when you don't die, but you're not living?
This is what happens.
And he says, this dimension is it's not real. It's made up of ethereal components.
You're not real, man.
Unfortunately, I'm real as I am. He says, look, there's the material plane where you're all from, and then there's the immaterial plane. And the immaterial plane is made up of spirit energy that's harvested by Kelevmor. If you don't believe in a god, Kelevmor claims your soul and turns you into a building material for eternity. And so imagine a bunch of little sentient bricks and pebbles and stones. That's what happens to all the non-believers. And so this realm is made out of that spiritual energy. some of it's from trees, and some of it's from frogs, and some of it's from, well, I mean, all sorts of things. But if you get packed up, I would assume that you'd just be turned into spiritual energy, and I can't imagine it'd be good. And I don't know if you get to be unpacked later on. I'm not going to be here to find out, let's put it that way.
So wise.
But, who knows? Maybe it's all bullshit. Speaking of, would you like to sell your soul if you don't believe there's anything after this? I mean, I personally, if I knew there was an afterlife, I'd kill myself right now. Two lives? Why would you want to even waste time on the first one?
Bro, read the room.
Guy in the corner bleeding out. Little girl wondering where his sister is. It's like, yeah, see, this is miserable. Let's start the next one. How do you feel about adventure? What do you know about the Blood War?
Clearly not enough.
This could be a no from us, dog.
Well, what about you, little dragon? He says,
Dragon?
He says, what do you know of the great dragon
Rude.
Lord Tiamat? She loves kobolds. She has a whole nation of them in the hell.
What do you know about Colt? What do you know about Tiamat?
Yeah, what do I know about Tiamat?
Give me a religion check. What's your alignment? Because it'll dictate whether you believe it. Well, whether you. I mean, worship is a strong word, but whether you're more inclined to worship Bahamut or more inclined to worship Tiamat.
What is NG?
Neutral good.
Neutral good. Okay, so you know of Tiamat to be that big 5-headed dragon god. And you know her to be incredibly cruel, malicious, but most of all greedy. In fact, her greed is so overwhelming that it causes all other dragons to covet gold. Like it's just so powerful and strong through her bloodline that it overwhelms red dragons, black dragons, blue dragons. You know, even the chromatic good dragons are like find themselves drawn to covet gold, materials, you know, things that people want, they want in their hoard, and it all stems from her greed. On the opposite side of that coin is Bahamut, who is... He's in here somewhere. Oh, he's over there. Down second shelf, the platinum, Yep. This right there, the big one. Right next to it.
This one?
Yep. That's Bahamut, who actually masquerades as a elf most of the time.
Couldn't pick that out of all the dragons. Why didn't you know which one it was?
Right. And Bahamut is selflessly good. Like, just, you know, for lack of a better term, just like all the embodiment of whatever religion's best person was. Like the Buddha, the Jesus, you know, Mary, whoever was just doing all the good things for everybody else. That's Bahamut. And he walks around Silvery Moon and just tries to make the world better. So much so that paladins like embody this idea of selflessness and will like pilgrimage to meet and like listen to him talk about, you should give up material things and you should, you help other people when you can and blah, blah, blah. So you probably have a affinity to Bahamut. You're like, yeah, well, Bahamut's a great guy. More people should be like Bahamut. You're probably not worshiping at the church, but you're definitely like, between the two of the dragon creators, you're like, well, that's clearly the good one,
Yeah.
and the other one is awful. But Tiamat used to rule Avernus, the first layer of hell. And every once in a while, she'll get all uppity and try and invade the material realms. But her cult worships her by taking wealth and sending it to Avernus. And in her lair in Avernus, it's just this endless abyss where it's covered in gold. Like think of sand dunes that stretch as far as you can see with gold and copper and silver coins, all of them minted in her image, and like portals opening up that just spit gold from her worshippers, right? Like they'll go rob a town of all of its loot or whatever, and then they'll perform a ceremony, open a portal, and just dump truck in loot. And it just basically, like a little portal opens up, spills out loot. Portal opens up, and she just rolls around in it like a pig in shit,
That's
for
it?
lack of a better term.
She
And
has no other use for it, just...
she just wants it. She wants all of it. She just hoards it. And periodically, people will like go in there because it's endless in there. And Avernus is its own space, and so it can grow and contrast as it wants to. And so like thieves will loot from her. and she knows the location of every piece of gold that is hers. And so if you steal from her, she knows it. She'll send people after it. She'll come get you. But if you're bold and you think you can launder that gold, I mean, you literally can just open up a portal into there if you know how to do that. Take a portable hole and just grab endless, treasure sealed up, and then run and try and do that. And so that happens quite often. She'll get robbed and she'll get spiteful and she'll send dragons out, or some dragon will get some gold that belonged to her, and that'll be like the prize of their hoard, right? They'll have 10,000 gold, but they'll have like 60 gold coins that are actually belong to Tiamat, and they just they covered it like it's extra precious. And so that's what you would know. And Sketch, being from Avernus, is familiar that Tiamat not only used to rule it, but she's there, and he's probably he knows of her and has definitely had interactions with her cult and her worshippers and so forth.
So this little dragon is by whom?
He's well, I mean, we all like good stories and saints and stuff, but I don't think he's got a place for you. Whereas Tiamat, oh my goodness, she'd probably welcome you right now.
No, I'm not ready.
Oh, well, if you change your mind, I'll be here for as long as I'm here.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
That long lore ramble. So now you've got a map, and you have a predicament. Do you try and save Kaylee? Do you leave that for the other party members that are here? Do you guys try and see if you can locate Zach Hot Magic, who is your best bet of getting home? Or try and find if there's another way home through any of the other towns? Sketch is pretty adamant that, like, if you guys want to leave, he could get you to Avernus. But, like, he doesn't have the authority or the magic ability to get you back wherever you came from.
We're going to hell. Hope you enjoyed your time in Barovia.
That's right.
We're going back to Avernus.
It's cold and rainy here. Nowhere it's hot and muggy.
What do you guys want to do?
Do we even have like any perception of where the thing would have taken?
I mean,
What's her name?
it has big footprints.
What's your name?
I don't know.
And in the mud right now, they're definitely leaving big tracks. You're fairly certain that it's somewhere in town.
There was more than one slaad during this whole thing, or just?
Well, you saw the one, and then you saw a slaad pole burst out of a body when you were there.
So these people who owe Sketch a debt, are they conscious enough to be like persuaded to be our front line or sacrifices?
Maybe.
That's a good question.
So remember he described one such person who owed him some money was Peanut's dad. And Peanut's dad their family was starving, so he sold his soul to this, in which case Sketch Sketch doesn't need your soul immediately. It's like once you make the deal, it's like, okay, well, when your time comes, your time comes. This just happened to be more immediate, but there are probably other people who have bought supplies or food in town in exchange for their souls, and he's just waiting on them to die. And so that's what he means, like, I'm waiting to collect.
That's the debt he wants collected. We need to kill these people.
Well, he'd appreciate it.
They seem like the perfect sacrifices.
Right. Does Willem miss his dad?
Probably to a certain extent. Like, he probably has fond memories of things before going to shit.
Well, sure.
The flip side is being like sold into service.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
For food for the rest of the family. It's like, well, wait a second, I guess I'm not the favorite if you're taking this basket of food back to ma and sister. It's unbeknownst whether they're still alive or not, but he definitely was probably salty about that. He's a salty peanut.
Oh, DM inspiration for that.
Well, if it's in town, I mean, what's the harm in looking for a day? And if we don't,
Death.
You would also know that the odds
You're not
are
wrong.
the odds are this thing wants to burrow underground. And so you would be looking for a house that's big enough to have a wine cellar or a basement.
I feel like that's every house here.
Could be.
But in the center.
Sounds so exhausting.
I don't
I guess
know.
if we're in the
You-
middle of death, we just leave. Just abort mission.
It's up to you guys, though. I mean, we don't have to.
You don't owe her anything, right? She was just some random hire.
How old is she?
You think she's mid-20s?
Oh, shit, she's a grown up.
She's had experiences.
I mean,
Got to have a
the
lot
siblings
fewer.
much younger, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they must have been.
Like 8, like I'd say like
They're
8
not
and
like
23,
half.
8 and
Are
24.
they like half siblings?
Yeah, maybe the last one was a surprise baby.
See, well, Jesus, that's quite a surprise. Like 20.
You're not really sure what happened to mom. You could ask Bailey, you know.
No, I don't want to.
why-
We don't want to trigger anything.
why she was
No.
going with her sister instead of staying home if there's a
19
home to
accounting.
stay there.
Oh, God,
So we
she's
have to
in
take
her 20s?
care of Bailey if we can't find him.
I mean, there's the nice part about you guys making other and people like players is that they can do all that
Suffocated.
stuff for you,
Good job, guys.
right?
Way to
Like,
go.
you can literally leave this to their somewhat capable hands and be like, all right, we're gonna go.
And then when we die, you guys
right.
have to pick up taking babysitting.
Right, I'll let you know how well that went.
So you're back at the tavern.
Right.
Bailey's still crying. What would you like to do? What's your alignment? Or your CG?
I think and yeah, I think I'm CG.
Let me put it this way: you know what Bahamut would do.
Yeah. But he would not sacrifice others. That'd probably be what he would do.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't go about the town and be like, hey, which one of you guys want to die?
Who's ready to die?
But you're also not a paladin, you're an artificer, so you might be a little more logical. You might be like, look, you know, it says turn, you know, Bahamut says turn the other cheek, but, you know, if we gotta shoot somebody, we gotta shoot somebody.
We're out of cheeks.
So I have a technical question
Yes, ma'am.
for Sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Gates, however you say his last name.
Yep. Sketch gets.
Getz, Mr. Getz.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you need.
That is a-
Sketch
No,
gets.
no, this is it. Yeah, this is funny. How does he know? Like, does he get like a signal when somebody dies? That he
yeah.
like he gets like a little ding,
Mhm.
it like goes off that
Yep.
says, "Hey, time to."
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually like the Mario coin sound.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
if you've remembered, you've seen like bodies burnt to a crisp holding the coin.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so you assume that like when they die, their bodies like mangle up, and their soul essence is forged into this soul coin as part of the deal struck. I mean, if you're curious, you could ask him all kinds of like devil contract stuff.
Yeah.
But he specifically is looking for coins. Whereas, you know, like other devils will strike other bargains. I'd say too with a 19, you would know that like devils, real dark, like real like horrible things. Like sometimes like contracts are written on human skin. Sometimes contracts are like forged into dolls. Like some of them, they're all as like kind of twisted as whoever's doing it. And as the devil promotes up in the rank, they usually get more like twisted into whatever eccentricities they have. And so, you know, like, yeah, it's like, it can get just bizarre. But he's here collecting coins. He's here from HR, which is Hell Relations, if you remember. And he has a quota. Just, you know, their paid commission.
What do you guys want to do?
Time is it? Now
I'd say about 10:30, maybe 11.
I think if we're gonna move on to the next town, we should get an early start because I don't want to be out
I agree.
after dark.
I
So
agree.
if we're gonna hang out here for at least another 15 hours or 18 hours, I mean, what's the harm in looking? But also,
Scope the place.
I'm the only one operating at half my life, so
I mean, that sounds like a you problem.
It sure does.
You got any hit dice?
Yeah.
Use them all. So
Does
you
this count as a short rest?
I'd say you've easily spent a short rest here if you
Well,
want to
I
use some
mean,
hit dice.
it's.
Sure.
I could play bardic music.
Yeah, cheer up the
short
town.
rest.
Sing a song about how Kaylee got jacked.
No, we don't say the K word.
We'll say Haley.
If I was a good DM, I would have wrote down Kaylee and Bailey on here and which one's which. But now it's just almost funny to.
Did you max out? 'Cause
Wait, what?
You get extra from me.
Oh, how much extra?
I have to look it up.
I used 2.
Is it
But if
a
I-
D6? Does that sound right?
Your bardic inspiration.
No, in my
Healing
song of
I
Rest.
think it is an
Yeah.
D6, yeah.
I'll look
But it
just
probably
in case.
grows with your bardic inspiration. Just to kind of like coerce you a little bit, you would know that slaads are not pack animals. They're very solitary creatures, and probably would be adversarial or antagonistic to the other monsters that you saw floating around.
So it wouldn't have a lot of backup, is what I hear.
That
What D6?
Do I
or
roll?
they could be also fighting, for over resources or
No,
whatever.
you don't.
So I'm still used to. Thank you.
You're welcome for that one.
Would
So-
it see us as a threat? Me specifically being,
The slaad?
yeah.
So depending on what type of slaad this is, it's not necessarily that it would see you as a threat, but it would definitely see you as prey.
They're more tiny.
Yeah. But you also know that they don't feed on their hosts, right? Like they're eating other things, but if something that they think is compatible to make a baby, they're gonna take that back.
I don't know. I just burned a couple hit dice, so I'm feeling good.
Feeling good.
Let's follow some footprints.
Bold. All right.
What?
Wait. We just said to coerce you a little bit.
Well, I mean, I just simply wanted you to know that whatever you're fighting out here also might be fighting other things out here.
What does that mean?
It means
Did we have help?
Or we're not fighting just one thing. We're fighting also whatever it was fighting.
so you go out into the town, and the rain is heavy.
What's our exit strategy? Mistletoe?
Mistletoe! Mistletoe! Mistletoe!
I don't get that reference.
That's okay. It's from a Christmas movie,
Oh.
obviously. Mistletoe. It's the secret word when you
Over your head.
when you have to leave the situation with your in-laws.
It's our code word. We gotta go.
So the town is laid out like this, and you are currently right here. This is the old burgomaster's house. It is now turned into a makeshift emporium, venturing goods, and now medical way station. Your cart is out in front of it with a very nervous draft horse that has been basically. I don't think you guys tied him to a pole. You just literally just ran out of the cart and jumped outside.
Can't we just put the draft horse inside the tavern?
Probably not. I mean, there's a lot of
What?
hands, and that door's not very big. This is a person's house.
So, do you see any people here?
How do you get that horse in that little stone door?
You can easily do it.
Yeah.
Are there stables nearby?
Not that you see.
Well, I tried.
Whose idea was it to bring a friggin' horse into town?
Well, you guys were a little panicked.
Can horses go to hell?
I don't know about horses, but you can.
They probably don't when they die, but they probably can go to hell. I mean,
What do you think is the afterlife?
right.
Horse?
Sketch comes up and says, Mrs. Draft Horse, how do you feel about adventure? And it's just like, hey.
Where did the footprints go?
So you lost track of the footprints. As you came down the mountain, the footprints went this way, and you guys came down this way.
Okay.
So can I detach before we go? Can I remove the harness that the horse has that's attached to the cart so that at least it can run away if something comes?
Sure.
Okay.
So you detach the horse, and it just kind of like looks at you. And you're reminded of that person that you saw walking into a wall that just like smeared their face off.
Sauce.
And you're like, oh, this might be like one of the features of the land. Like this may not be a real horse. Like it's real for pulling us and stuff, but it may just be a product of this environment.
Got it.
And so like.
Well, then I feel less bad about it.
Right, you realize that's why those things didn't eat it. It probably doesn't have any meat. It probably doesn't have any nourishment. It's just like a.
Cool.
Lock it back up.
Nobody in there.
Okay. So are we good? Follow the footsteps as far as they go, and
Give me a survival check. Let's see how well you pick up these footprints now that you've gone back an hour and a half later into the soggy mud.
7.
14.
8.
Leave it to the kobold. You guys start wandering around what I guess would be like the city square or the city open path, and you guys can't see anything. But sure enough, the kobold, after a little bit, finds a area that's a little drier than the other one and starts to piece together some of the footprints that start heading you off into town. And as you get about halfway down this path, you get that ominous feeling again, like you're being watched. And as you look to the buildings, sure enough, like peeking out of either windows or from behind walls, you see like the figures of maybe heads or something like that as you come across these first few houses right here. They seem to be watching you. These don't seem to be like the monsters like circling above you. They just seem to be like maybe townsfolk or somebody shy or just, they don't know.
Well, would it be likely that a slaad would go into a house with townsfolk? Probably not, right? So if there's townsfolk in there, we know that the slaad is not.
You would think they don't need to have like lanterns on or whatever.
It's true too.
Slats.
Adversely, it's probably the other way around. Like if the people are there, then the slaad hasn't captured them and ate them young, because it's like, you know, if you have kids and other things, it's like if you fail, like there's way more things that go wrong, and so then you make worse decisions because you're panicking because you're not just being like, oh, I should really walk away from this and start something else.
Yeah.
You know, and so like right now, travel if you can. You know.
Start the business.
Start the
Make
business.
the things. Sell the things.
You know.
I'll buy all the things.
Yep.
So like you have 4 votes.
That's right.
Entire campaign through free.
That's right.
Yes, do it. It's very rewarding though. Most of the time.
Not like RPS work.
Just go on vacation during the holiday, you know, everybody else's holidays.
Yeah. You're working.
So she doesn't like her job, or she doesn't like Southwest?
She doesn't like Southwest and customer service with Southwest, especially during the pandemic.
Oh,
was
God.
Tough.
People
were
are just terrible.
rude.
Yeah.
People are still
it's
rude.
Another level of angry.
Yeah, at some point it's like, it's not worth it. Like your mental health is not worth that.
And we can't do free flights anymore because everyone's flying now, so all the planes are booked and there's like less flights.
It's not
going
worth
out.
it anymore.
So yeah, what little perks you had?
Yeah, it's gone.
Fuck that.
I just saw a thing today of like people in Hawaii being like, you gotta conserve water now because tourists are gonna come, and I guess the Navy poisoned a bunch of their water. like they accidentally got jet fuel or something in their water supply, and so they have less water supply, and all the tourists are coming, and so it's just wrecking like Hawaii right now.
It was crazy when we went to visit his dad in the beginning of March. They already had the cruise ships in. It was crazy the amount of people. It was like, really? It's not even like the good island.
I don't know, mix it up.
What?
Oh,
Neither of us are. My dad moved there because he wanted to.
Yeah. His
And
dad. Yeah.
Government pension.
Yeah. And I lived there when I was younger with my mom.
I'm going to the DR in April.
It should be interesting.
Should, as long as nuclear war doesn't,
I
stop
mean-
flights.
yeah.
I will say that it's been wonderful for my bug out kits, because I'll like see something and be like, oh yeah, I do need like creek drinking water straws, a 4-pack. Oh yeah, I bought a Geiger counter. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course I need this. It's like,
Apocalyptic shopping?
yeah.
Perfect time.
Those ads make it so like you're like, yeah, I do need to build a shelter with a tool.
I mean, it's better to have it and not need it than to be wondering if I can walk outside without getting radiation. So, all right, cut all that out and go back into where would we leave off?
The times we live in.
Right. Weren't you tired of living in unprecedented times?
God, right.
So food sources in the slaad hasn't been there yet. If there are people in the homes,
Yeah.
keep on keeping on.
I was looking for a dark house. It looks like
That might have a wine cellar or a basement.
Again.
Yeah, you're looking for. You would assume to look for probably a bigger house or a more before it became run down and decrepit, like a wealthier house.
So was there movement in the burgomaster's house?
He's in the burgomaster's
Oh,
house. Yeah, so he's commandeered that house.
Okay.
Sketch.
I can't keep this straight.
Yeah. So the first house that you come in was the burgomaster's mansion.
So I'm just gonna say, we'll just say before we left, I'm gonna ask him. Okay, where's the second biggest house in town?
He tells you that on the northwest end there were a couple of larger villas.
All right, then we go to the northwest end.
Boy, you're good at actually asking.
Yeah.
That's good.
So this area over here is probably where you want to be, and you're currently right here. So you're just gonna walk on through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Watching our backs.
Give me
Yeah.
a perception check, everybody.
These are really average.
14.
9.
All of you had rolled a 9. Something dreadful was going to happen.
Oh.
But with 21, you see, basically, like I said, those, almost like field mice, like peering out around walls or whatever. You guys kind of like huddle together on the road, and then like as you're like, if there's a house over here, you kind of give it a little bit more wide berth, and then the next one you're doing that.
Walking Dead style.
Yeah. And like as you're walking, you see like one of those heads poke out behind a wall, and something dart down and grab it and take it off into the thing, and you just hear the screams of what you think was probably a adolescent human just screaming off into the terror of the night as it like now this shadowy figure moves through the clouds, probably at the same rate of speed as one of the monsters that took Bailey originally.
Do slaads fly?
No, not that you're aware of.
What were the things that flew off with the little one the first time?
The homunculi,
Oh, that's what it was.
right? Like those,
Yeah.
like abomination.
Yep.
You saw a few of them like
Some
scatter when you were up in
monsters.
the abbey. Like they had wings. There was one chained to a pole up there. But like you get the sense that if things that are carryable, fly-offable, are out in the open, these things are up there patrolling for food.
As we're walking down the middle of the street.
Just gotta huddle together.
Right.
In, like one big unit.
And at that point, you like kind of make sure you're real close to the kobold. You're like, you feel confident that you're not getting flown away, but the light, the light half fell, and the 40-pound kobold, you're like putting your backpack on. Like,
Can I tie the rope between the three of us?
ooh, yes, and if you don't have inspiration, you can have it for that.
Ooh.
You're like safety first, guys.
might need that soon.
And after another probably 15 minutes, because you guys are walking slow enough to where you're not making a mistake, you're not going to get like ambushed or anything like that. You come up to this junction right here, and you see 3 potential big villas that you think are probably large enough and with foundations long enough to have a basement in.
No footprints.
Give me a survival check.
Good, I've been so good at this so far.
16.
7. My plus 5 and I get a 7.
No, 16's not enough.
What?
Yep. This is now a soupy mess as you're now been in the rain for the better part of a few hours, and there's not any footprints that you see from this.
All right, let's just each go into a house.
Whoa.
Just kidding.
You just gonna let us do that?
It's your story. I'm
Do
just
whatever you
narrating.
want.
From where we can see,
Mm-hmm.
are all the doors latched? I mean, I can't imagine that a slaad would close the door behind them. So is there
What
any
a great question.
open doors?
From where you're at, the rain and everything else is kind of obscuring because you're sitting at you're at like the crossroads. Like you just see the zone. All of them look run down enough to have, like a giant window shattered out or something like that. Big holes in the roofs. But you're not close enough to see if there's any like claw marks to see if something clawed its way in or broke its way in, or if it's just part of the dilapidation of this town kind of rotting from within. But if you get closer to that, you absolutely could check for those things.
He's going dice jail. I just got a 1 and 3 2s, an 8.
Metal dice, man. I've never had any luck.
I was so hopeful because they're light. And the way that my
There's
other
a
dice
1.
are they're rolling. Can we... So here's what I propose, guys, and you can feel free to shoot me down. I say we do an initial investigation check of just the exterior
Sure.
and look for these claw marks.
Okay.
And if we don't find one, we go check all 3 houses and then we can decide where to go from there.
Yep. Give me an investigation check on house numero uno.
9.
11.
23.
Ooh. So number one.
Carrying this team.
You
Right, you totally are.
Right?
So house
You know who's
number
in
one
charge.
is a beautiful 5-bedroom villa with a old rampart / upper terrace overlooking the opening doors. It looks like it has 2 stories.
I hear this in Robin Leach's voice.
Yep, exactly. At one point, it was probably very nice. Brick mixed with stucco. From the outside. From the outside,
Keep it classy, Chris.
you can see the door has been kicked in by what you think would be a human or something like that. There's not any claw marks that lead this way in, but the frame of the door is still intact, so it's probably like looters. A lot of the windows have been broken in and busted in. There's drapes covering over the windows. The drapes seem to be fancy enough to go with the house. There's also a hole in the roof, but judging on the size that you think you saw of the original one, you don't think that the slaad has gone into this one.
Just as another verification, is there any wet mud through any of those entrances?
There is not. Perfect question, though.
Okay.
So, no to that one.
Next, number 2.
Give me an investigation check on number 2.
Nat 20.
11.
8.
So, this one was obviously owned by dwarves, and you can tell by the
Feels like
architecture.
home.
Yep, you look at it and you almost feel a familiarity with it. You're like, oh man, the stoneworking here is wonderful. Everything's cut out of marble, and different layers of granite and limestone. The architecture is beautiful for you. Everybody else thinks that the doors are not quite tall enough.
Well, no.
Yeah, they'd be tall enough for you, but you look at them and you're like, these doors are 5'5". Like I'm gonna have to crouch to getting in here. The stonework though is impeccable. The door on it is this huge oaken mast door that is firmly in place. There are a few windows that have been busted out. but no mud around those fixtures. This house is only 1 story. However, it's big enough, it's kind of like ranch style, kind of spreads out. Being that it's dwarvish though, you would think that it probably goes down. But you don't see any like forced entry other than some windows that you yourself would probably have a hard time getting in.
Okay. Number 3.
House number 3. This one is this red building right here. And if you haven't picked up on it yet, all the important buildings have red roofs. Yeah. It's wonderful how that works in this campaign. And so the orange terracotta roofs like almost attract you like a beacon. Especially this giant gaping hole that is in the top of the 2nd story that looks like large enough that you could probably stuff a horse through there if you had to.
Okay. I'm gonna go back and get the horse.
The only thing that that interrupts like this giant break in the terracotta panels are the 2 beams that probably support the upper roof. Large, big bay windows on the top floor. A huge open door that's frame has been almost ripped apart. The bottom story has so much damage to it from like the support of the top roof that this house looks almost like it should be condemned.
Any mud on the inside?
All over the mud in front of this door.
Okay.
Hello, Slaad. Anyone home?
Nice.
You hear wings above you, but you don't hear a reply.
If we did go in, would it be easy to exit? Are there a lot of holes in it?
Well, I mean, there's a big gaping one at the front where the door used to be. And if you make it to the 2nd floor, there's a giant one in the roof on the right side of the house.
If you make it to the 2nd floor.
The windows, which left of them, could easily be broken out.
All right, we have to we have to get to the lowest point of the house.
Good point. Do we want to still be attached by the rope, or you guys? Let's see.
Well, they can't fly, right?
The slaads can't. Yeah, we did not be an Aarakocra. Or a cobalt with wings.
Whatever.
It's possible.
Did we even know that was an option? I didn't.
I did. You didn't. I definitely didn't.
In fact, you're an artificer. I have a cobalt with like
You could even make
fake-
your own wings.
with like fake dragon wings.
Steam-powered cobalt.
Yep. They love pretending to be dragons.
So you told me I'm not a dragon? Don't say it to my face.
It's okay, guys. I fed it fall.
All right, so no rope.
Oh, I don't care. You guys want to
Just-
stay rope together?
I'm just asking because
You're dragging me down.
Do we need it for anything?
probably not. Put the rope away.
Okay.
We all can see in the dark, right?
How
Yes.
would you like to proceed? You all have dark vision?
Yes.
Probably going to be very helpful.
I don't know why. I don't know why. But I kind of want to take my rope and using my knowledge of smith tools,
Okay.
I want to tie the rope around one of the central main weight-bearing beams, or 2, in the event that if we have to leave fast, I want to pull it and tear the whole house down.
Okay.
Could I do something like that?
Yes.
Do I think that I could do something like that?
You definitely think you could do something like that. You
Do I
don't
think that
know.
it would be helpful?
You don't know that the house is only held up by one good beam, but you think that there's a chance that that could happen, right? That this thing could be ready to go at any moment. You would have to go in though and find what you think is a load-bearing wall and find the stud of that and
Yeah,
kind of make
right.
some noise and do it. But you could do that, and I will give you a very solid chance of collapsing this whole house down in the event that you yank this beam out.
I mean, it's a great
idea.
It's just a narrow path of like need and
Yeah, I love the idea. Just like how we practically pull it off with some dice rolls might be a little tricky, but it's a great idea. Just collapsing this house down, burying the slot in its own den.
I mean, fuck the girl.
Just kill it.
Although it might be like ants, right? Like you cover the top of the ant hole and they're like, oh, we'll just dig another hole.
I thought you were saying that there are many more.
so do we want to
Find the basement.
Infiltrate the dealers, find the suppliers.
I mean, I'll go first. I don't care.
Yeah, you walk into this rickety old McMansion. Imagine a antelope house built in the mid-90s, now completely overpriced by the market, barely holding on, cabinets not lining up, fractures all throughout the house. Imagine if you could.
Sounds
Great
funny.
garage and play space. The rest of the house. So yeah, you go in here, and sure enough, not only does this place look like it was picked apart by looters, but there are giant gashes in the floor. Like whatever comes in here is quickly trying to get from the door to somewhere else, and like all the gashes lead to what you think would be a kitchen. And in the kitchen, the floorboards have been removed into an area. And the hole in the kitchen is probably about 8 feet wide. Give me some stealth checks, actually. I wasn't sure. Checking out the house. Trying not to stomp around.
12.
3.
23.
Did you say 3?
3. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys start creeping in here. And the artificer just comes jingling in with her bag full of goodies. And literally, like, every step that you guys take, like old Warner Brothers things, like, step, and you turn around, and she turns around, and you turn around to nobody, and then you take another step, and your bag, clanks and clanks again, and you're just like, oh, this is our worst idea. But as you make it into the kitchen, you see that, like I said, the floorboards have been removed in probably like an 8x6 hole. And where the boards come up all like jigsaw puzzle-y, right, like mismatched, they're in like almost a circular formation is this gross black calcium buildup that you would think is what she would describe as like their bile that has hardened. Give me a survival check. I'll give you advantage because you're a dwarf and it's like a stone survival check.
23.
10.
So you pull out some of your smithing tools to just see like the brittleness. You're checking the strength of this, and it's in a certain sense it's like calcified like mucus or snot. It's very smooth. Like once it hardens, and you think that it has like a kind of a viscosity and like texture that allows it to be thick enough to be molded. It's very laterally strong, but like horizontally brittle. So like they use it to like form structures, and like the rest of this cave is you're like looking into this black hole that kind of winds down. It might have used at some point a wine cellar and then has been burrowed out some other spots. But you're fairly certain with a decent DC 12 strength check that you could break it with your hammer, or with a hammer and chisel you could bust it out. But it has a stone crackle to it. Like when you break it, it sounds like rocks chipping. and you don't think that there would be a silent operation to break it out. And it looks like a hardened esophagus as it goes down. Like there are rings, concentric rings that kind of go down into this hole, and in between the rings are like ribbed kind of inlays of this, where it's just like vomited up and then like plastered and vomited up and plastered, and you can kind of see as a dwarf, like what you would chisel out of stone, this is like formed by hands. Like imagine like Play-Doh ribbing, right? It's got like a little bit of the texture of this creature's fingers through there, and there are like different sizes of it, so that you think that, you know, maybe one or more slaads like created this down here. Whether there's that many left or not, you don't know, but this was or is like a burrow or a hive, and it's all like this onyx black that, because it's hardened crystal, it's like it's got a little bit of glare to it, so it almost looks wet, but as you touch it, it's very calcified.
Well, are we ready to make noise, or do you guys have any ideas on how to be quiet?
Some are already making noise.
Fair point. Smash smashy?
So it goes down about 8 feet on a slight slope. Like you could slide down it like a slide, but you'd like bump on the rivets or like the ribbedness of this, and then it goes around a bend. You can't see to the next area, so it like goes down and slides that way.
So there's no way to tell like the quickest way to get to her. You have to just keep.
You got to go through this burrow.
It's already not worth it.
It's like you don't know if it's like a gopher burrow or a rattlesnake burrow,
No.
or you know, or an ant colony down there.
Great. Well, I'm excited.
Could be mole rats. Could be two big breeding chambers.
Okay, where are we going?
Should you stay or should you go now?
If you stay, there'll be trouble. But if you go, we'll be double.
I got no ideas, so go.
All right.
Do we have to break it? And with the
No, it's a big 6x8 hole.
Oh, okay.
The stuff is all around the outside
Okay.
and like creating the tunnel.
Oh, okay. If we were in, do we think that we would be able to get out easily, or is it like a hole?
Kind of slick. It's because it's so smooth, right? And you can see where there are handholds, but the handholds are kind of too big for your hands, right? They're definitely made for this creature's thing in there. But you could make a
So-
climbing check in and out.
Try a rope.
Tie a rope?
Oh wait, we have a climber's kit.
Oh, that's true. We could anchor in some.
Yeah. If you like it.
I'm sure those have a name. Are those pittons?
Oh, we have a grappling hook too.
But I mean, back to your first idea, you absolutely can find a load-bearing wall, punch through the drywall, and basically fasten the rope to it.
So, no, the rope's out. That's what I hear. Not finding a no load-bearing wall. The climber's kit should have things that you can.
Yep, pittons. Climbing spikes. Should definitely have shoes with spikes on if you want to put those on. It'll take you a couple minutes. You're sitting outside the den and
I
sing.
really thought I just saw a climber's kit. Do I not have a climber's kit?
Did you sell it to Peanut? I bet Peanut's got a climber's kit.
Probably. I have caltrops.
Just throw them down there.
Basically the same thing, right?
I mean, we can just use the grappling hook too.
Yeah.
We could
There's
also go back and ask Willem for climber's kit. They haven't made ourselves out yet.
You just want to re-roll your stealth roll.
It's very true.
I mean,
Let's just use the grappling hook.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Just find something to attach it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically find, some brickwork that's got enough of a hole and you like hammer it into. something
Guys,
to make
remind me
the most.
next time you see a ladder, we'll put it in the bag of holding.
Cool.
That's right. 10-foot ladder. Who needs these?
Use that shit all the time.
Yeah, so everybody give me a climbing check with advantage as you descend down this rope.
I got 2 11s. But I mean, plus.
What do you want? Athletics?
Acrobatics, yeah.
12.
That's 2 18s for me.
10.
So, what order do you want to climb?
I'm going first because I'm the tallest.
Okay,
in case
so
I need
you-
help
And
anybody
a soft
down.
landing for us.
You start descending down, followed by...
I'm the loudest.
Who
so
wants to
I
come
would go
down
last.
next? Just jump, I'll catch
So,
you.
yeah, you want to go the next then? Okay.
So at 8 feet, it kind of like levels out, and you come to a Y where it goes down, descending, and you see like the old remnants of what you would assume probably the wine cellar, a couple like bottles sticking out of like the calcified of this, and then it goes down, like down a ways, and then the other Y banks off to the right. But you're only like descending 8 feet before that first initial
Yeah.
like down, which
It's like
everybody
Pirates
knows.
of the Caribbean. First dip and then the second dip.
Do you want to go down or do you want to go to the right?
It's probably down,
Probably.
but I don't care.
How long's the grappling hook's probably attached to 50 feet of rope?
Yes.
So let's just safely say we're at around 15.
Here, let's just say for now, but I'll pull it out in case I forget. Go back to those. Maybe.
Down?
Yeah. Okay.
Down.
As far as we can get on our 50 feet of rope, I guess.
And,
Yep.
and then I have a rope too.
Oh.
I can always
Can
lash.
Sorry. You go ahead, and then I'll go.
I'm done.
I didn't mean to talk over you.
That's cool. I'm done.
Can I please cast, how long does this last? That's it? 1 minute? It's not very long. How far does the second dip look like it goes?
What's your dark vision?
Probably regular, 60 feet.
60 feet of dark vision. That's a lot.
Is it?
I have 60.
I have 60.
Feels like a lot. Less than 60 feet. You can see the bottom. So probably another 30. What's worse though is that it looks like the hole opens up into a chasm. It doesn't like follow a slump.
Why is that worse?
Well, it just make climbing back out of it a little more difficult.
I'll cast Featherfall when we try to get out.
Can I
We'll just keep trying till we make
can I
it.
lash my rope to the end of hers and tie knots in it?
Yeah.
Would that give us advantage on climbing out?
You're doing a free, like you got a free rope out, you know?
Like climbing the
couple feet.
rope in gym class.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So you're sitting there and you're like, okay, cool, guys, you're doing this.
Boy Scouts.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me a perception check as you're tying knots in your
I'll
rope.
use that die.
What are you talking about? That's the only one I 22.
I'm sorry. I retract my statement.
So you guys are all like watching him tie knots, and he's like, you know, tying these knots and kind of like checking and you know doing another knot hole, checking, and you're pretty sure that the walls like are like
Ugh.
seizing, and the smell in this air has like changed like drastically, which was musty from raining from outside, but now that you're like standing over this pit, it's just a weird smell of like rot and afterbirth and just gross. And you're fairly certain that whatever's down there is probably what you're looking for.
Are we in the stomach?
I only know what it's like because I birthed those puppies and it's
yeah.
real gross. It's grosser when the dog eats the afterbirth. You're like, oh,
yeah.
nature's metal.
Are we in a stomach?
You're not sure. You don't. I mean, no, it's not like secreting any stomach acid or anything like that.
Well, there's one way to find out. If I stab it, what happens? I stab the wall.
Yeah, it's brittle and it kind of like chips away.
Alright. Nothing screamed, so.
Am I done with the knots?
Yep. You want to descend down into this thing?
Mm-hmm.
How stealth? Everybody make another stealth check.
You can do it. You can do it.
Oh, not 20.
Yeah.
16.
Okay.
23.
Much quieter as you descend down to this bottom pit area down here. And sure enough, you see Haley.
Bailey. Fill in the name here.
Contortedly like stuck up against the wall. Like arm over her chest, another arm like kind of like back this way, like glued into the wall fixture itself. In like a row, you're in a room that's probably 40 feet wide that looks like kind of like a bubble in the ground. And spewed about all over the walls in contorted different positions are dead bodies that have just this chest cavity like just burst open. And while down here, you're realizing that it's not the walls that are seizing, but slaad poles that are laying in the rivets.
Yeah.
That, you know, like if you think of like an esophagus, in between those, they're like hiding in there into the walls. And as you're down here, you kind of like see them like snaking through the ribs and like other like indentations that were made in here. Some of them of different sizes. None of them seem to be very large, but that's what you saw as the movement of this pit. But about 25 feet in front of you on the west wall, she's there, you think asleep, but no chest cavity burst from her.
Is she easily accessible from where we are?
I mean, you can walk over there and chip her out if you want to.
Can I make perception to try to figure out if the slaad is down here?
Yes.
15.
Like I said, the walls seem to move, and if you focus on any one of them, you might be able to pick out like one or two of these slaad poles that are about the size of maybe your arm with a fist on them, right? And they just kind of like snake around on the walls, and their eyes are like almost opaque on them because their bodies haven't like formed yet, right? So they have like these little bubble eyes on top of them, and you assume they see you fairly well. And maybe like as you walk in a direction, they may like scrawl away from you on the walls.
Do I know anything about them? Like, do they scream if they sense danger or squirt out anything?
I mean, you nailed that roll. You don't think they have mouths formed yet, right? Like, so like they follow a very similar linear path as a frog, right? They start with the tail, and then they start to grow feet, and as they grow feet, they'll grow a mouth, and as they grow like appendages, they stop like slithering / swimming and start to like crawl and do that. And so there's probably 10 or 15 in here that you can make out in different sizes. Some, most of them in that slaad pole size. None of them, that you don't think that like this thing has been down here very long, or that like this has been
Can I try to just sneak over to her to...
Sure.
Cover her mouth when you do it.
Yeah, like I said, she's either
We're gonna
passed
save
out.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, or something to that effect. Who's gonna try and break her out?
I probably have the tools. I'm not strong enough, I don't think.
Does it require a strength check?
Yep.
I don't know. I think we're all about the same.
Strength? I'm very weak.
I'm -3.
I'm -1.
You're gonna need a hammer. You're gonna need a chisel.
Well, I'm +1, so never mind.
Somebody's got smithing tools. That would be
Yeah,
sufficient.
Tinker's tools.
Tinker's tools might have some sort of
A screwdriver or something.
yeah.
I have a shovel.
I've got a battle axe.
Cool, that'll
Do you want to just set this whole place on fire? Because I have a flask of oil.
Yes, I do.
After we pull her,
With us
then
into
just
it?
like light that shit on fire?
And
Yes.
run?
How much oil is in a flask?
I don't know. You tell me. It doesn't
Definitely a
say.
5-foot area.
Unless there's something else flammable nearby.
That's true. Maybe this whole thing's flammable.
You don't know.
Maybe we could turn this like a backdraft situation because I can't imagine
Exactly.
that there's a whole lot of air. So at least it's gonna smoke out.
It's true.
How well do slaads survive on smoke? All right, should I just use my battle axe?
Yes.
Yeah, just have good aim.
Oh shit, I'm gonna hit her. I got inspiration.
That's the die you're going with. Wait, can I
Had
give you?
inspiration.
Can I give you? Wait. Can I give you bardic inspiration?
Yes, and how do you do this? You just what instrument do you play?
Finger symbols.
You start.
It's
chiming
real
along.
quiet though.
Like, I just want you to feel the love of this music.
19 on the dice.
19.
Plus whatever your bardic inspiration is.
I mean, that's a sufficient strength check to break like a good chunk of this away.
You have
and
to do
as
it
you-
17 more times.
And as you like knock a big chunk of it, you think you can start like ripping.
Can we use the
rest
shovel
of
to
this.
like get?
Press them all.
So he's breaking it off, right? So you descended down to the center of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
room. The room's 40 feet across. He's over there like chipping into it and starts breaking apart. Where are you guys?
I'm right there.
You're literally right next to him.
I'm literally right next to
And
him.
you?
Are we not tied together?
No, you're not tied together anymore.
She's with us too.
Yeah, I have to be with you guys. So I can get flown away.
Somebody
Um,
keeping watch?
Yeah.
I'm keeping watch. My back is to everybody.
Okay, give
Watching.
me a perception check.
15?
So the first chip away of this thing is very loud, right? Like an axe hitting like ceramic and the ceramic shattering. And then as you're breaking stuff off, it has this like wood snapping shatter to it, right? So each one just like snaps and like you're breaking twigs and other stuff like that. And so like it's loud enough to where you're like checking to see what's like making that noise. You're like grunting and pulling this way. You're like, oh, fucking come on, like, you know, and you start to piece it apart. And as you like look back, you see from above you these two elongated arms outstretched from the ceiling and then drop in front of you. And that is where we will end for tonight.
Lamesies.
Well,